Jews in Uganda. Did you know there were Jews in Uganda? I wasn't aware. But let's have a listen to Lamumba Amin. He's going to tell us all about the Ugandan Jews.
Known as the Bayudaya. These are a small community in eastern Uganda who converted to Judaism when Jews came to Uganda, as the British government made the historical proposal to give Uganda to Jews.
Yeah, to give Uganda to Jews. You know, the whole Zionist project and Palestine being a homeland for Jewish people. There were a few other ideas on the table. Uganda was an option. There was another one in Argentina. I think Patagonia was an option for this Jewish homeland. Eventually they decided on Palestine, and they kind of justified it through the religious stories. But remember, the early Zionist movement was not a religious movement.
Why anyone would have such an idea if it is not anti-Semitism, where the British didn't want any Jews in Europe anymore and sent them here. Anyway, when Israel started implementing its policy of granting any Jew in the world free Israeli citizenship, the Bayudai of Uganda filed their request to move to Israel, but were all denied Israeli citizenship for not practicing Judaism enough. However, the white South Africans who converted to Judaism as their racist apartheid regime collapsed in 1994, barely practicing their new faith even once, were quickly granted Israeli citizenship and fled to Israel. I wonder why.
From what I understand, the law in Israel states that any individual anywhere in the world who has one Jewish grandparent, doesn't matter what you practice, what you believe, one Jewish grandparent entitles you to Israeli citizenship and Jewish nationality. In Israel, citizenship and nationality are two separate things. There's no Israeli nationality. Jewish is considered the nationality, and Arab Israelis, Arabs or Palestinians with Israeli citizenship, their nationality is recorded as Arab. So during the creation, the formation of this new state, many Jews from many parts of the world went to the Holy Land, became Israeli, and this gentleman's explaining that when the idea of putting the Jewish state in Uganda was put forward, there were Ugandans who thought, right, well, we better become Jewish then, and they converted to the religion, but they weren't deemed Jewish enough. And there are native African Jewish people, the Beta Israel from Ethiopia, who have been Jewish from the time of Moses, from the time of the parting of the Dead Sea. They are descendant from the Israelites that didn't leave and go into the Promised Land, who stayed in that part of Africa. They are probably more Jewish than many other Jewish people in the world who can trace their lineage. And when they arrived in Israel, they were discriminated against. They were treated as not second but third class citizens behind the European Ashkenazi Jews at the top of the pile, and then the Mizrahi and Sephardim Jews from the Middle East and North Africa, then the black Ethiopian Jewish people. And one of the injustices that was committed against them was the forced administration of contraceptive medicine without their consent, without their knowledge. They were given contraception, the women, so that these black Africans wouldn't upset the demographics of Israel by having too many children. So this is the caste system, if you like, in that state, whereby the European founders have always had a privileged position. I think every Israeli Prime Minister has come from that section of society. And then, as we say, further down, the Middle Eastern and North African Jews, then the Ethiopians, and then these Ugandans who weren't even permitted to go and live in Israel, even though they had converted to the religion, and other white Africans, South Africans, who converted. They went there, and I've mentioned this story before, but being outside the grave of Ibrahim, peace be upon him, in Khalil, in Hebron, in the West Bank, and the friend that I'd been travelling with, Jamal, from Uzbekistan, who'd been manhandled by the soldiers and bundled out of the Jewish side of the building, and he ended up having a conversation in Russian with the Russian Jewish IDF soldier, who said to him, "Look, I'm not even really Jewish. I just came here and they gave me a gun and they gave me a job, and I'm better off here than I am at home." So this is clearly someone who maybe had a Jewish grandparent, or maybe even didn't, but kind of falsified some kind of Jewish ancestry so that he could make aliyah and go and live in the Holy Land and have a better life for himself than he would back in Russia. Not interested in the religion at all. And then you've got people that actually did, out of choice, convert to a religion, believe in it, consider themselves Jewish, and then be denied that right because they don't practice it enough. Do you see the inconsistency? Let me know what you think in the comments. Were you aware that there were Ugandan Jews?